Hey guys, welcome back to Vinceville Custom. So today I'm sharing with you this Gladiator Marvel character from Bushy Collector. I really don't know him that well. I do know maybe a couple issues, I think, back in the day when he fought the X-Men. Other than that, I really don't know him that well, but really great sculpt, huge statue. I mean, literally, this thing is no joke, and I think these kits are getting bigger and bigger to the point where I don't know where people will be able to put these things. I guess he's 1/4 scale, but I really don't think he is. He seems a little bit bigger. I'm not really sure. I could get the tape measure and we could kind of see what's going on. So the figure is about 23 inches from the feet to the... So I guess he is kind of 1/4 scale, but I guess because of the hair and the feet. And then of course from the base to the top of the head, you're looking at almost 34 inches. I mean, this thing is just tall and big. So, yeah, no joke. Had problems with the kit, but overall it was very great. I mean, I just was able to pretty much prime it up and then start painting with a couple issues here and there. I'll kind of go over all that. But the person I did it for pretty much said, this is what he's looking for. And then I had free reign to do what I wanted, basically. He wanted the, metallic looking colors. He wanted it nice and shiny. And as far as the base, he kind of said I could do my own thing. So I threw out some ideas, and we'll kind of get in closer, and I'll show you what I did with the base. But other than that, pretty good. Now I'm working on two of these, but this is the first one I just finished up. This one went together very, very well. When I put the legs in and I put them into the base, it went in no problem. I didn't have any issues with it going. The other one was a nightmare, but that's on the other video. But I'll show you pretty much what I did with that. Now, when I was putting them together, the head wasn't really fitting in too well, and they sent extra heads. Now, the second heads that they sent me, I don't know why. I think it was because they put a second magnet in the head to really make it connect. But even that magnet was very weak, and those heads would not go in whatsoever. I tried jumbling around, and it didn't line up with they were horrible. So the first head that the statue came with, what I did, and let me pop this off, so you can see it's kind of messy at the bottom here. What I did was I drummed out the magnet that came with the statue, and I put a nice long bunch of magnets going in pretty deep. So now, when this head goes in here, it connects better. Plus, I had to do a little extra A's work and stuff, so as you saw at the bottom, it's kind of messy to make sure everything was flush because the head wobbled too a little bit. Once I got through that hump, it went pretty good. And I had to attach the legs, so that went good. So there's a metal rod going through here, and there's a metal rod going through here. And I guess these two metal rods in the things go up pretty high. I don't know how far, but I think they go up pretty decently. So overall, it worked out pretty good. Cape was pretty hard to paint. That was kind of the worst part of the whole statue because of the way it's set up. So let's get a little bit closer, and we'll kind of go over everything the best we can. Okay, so start up top. So I pretty much explained the head, and once I got through that hump and I made sure the cape worked out pretty good, it was just a matter of painting it up. So I did a purple head, and it was pretty much too light in the beginning, so I kind of darkened it a little bit, but I did like a blending of the purpleness, so it might be showing in the camera with the reflection too much, but there's a lot of like shading, and there's some blues, there's some purples. So he's got a mixture of both, but he's not really like just straight up purple and then darkness. He's got a lot of mixtures. Now as far as the hair, you might be saying, why is this top part red? When I was doing the paint up, I did the black, I did the head, but I didn't paint this yet, and I sent the picture to the client. He really liked the top of the mohawk having like a red tint. And he thought that I did that on purpose, and I said, no, I didn't, I just didn't get a chance to paint it. So he's like, I really like that. So when I finished painting this up, I did a brush effect up there, and he liked it. And that's why I always tell people it's really cool to, do your own thing because it's going on your shelf, so you don't have to worry. The only thing I have to do left before I pack up is kind of just touch up the tips up here a little bit because, like I said, it's very hard to paint this cape because the way it goes in the back of his body is very, it just sits back there. So that was kind of a pain. This medallion and his belt buckles are a pale gold from Alclad Chrome because I wanted to try the different things. I didn't want to just do yellow here, yellow here, yellow here, and then yellow on the belt. Yeah, all the same yellows. I wanted to keep everything different. So this is kind of what I came up with. So this is a blue metallic. I did some shading. I didn't go too crazy with darkening it with black. I wanted to keep it kind of just like light, you know, just kind of differentiate a little bit. But I figured with the metallics and gloss coated, you're going to see a lot of different shades when you turn them, as you can see. Once I got past that, I pretty much did all the red. Now the red is out of a can of Duplicolor metallic red, but then when I went in there with an airbrush and I darkened up some areas, I did some lighter chrome silver, and then I cleared it with red again without Tamiya clear, and I just gave it a little bit of a different red, but a little bit brighter. So that worked out pretty good. This is like a pearlized yellow. The belt buckle is kind of just like a, just basically like a flat yellow with a misting of a pearl. And then I gloss coated it because I wanted to give it a little bit of gloss. But as you can see with the cape, it's a little bit different. It's kind of a yellow. It's got a hint of metallic titanium gold from Tamiya in there. So it's kind of a little bit different. They look the same, but if you look really close, they are different. Yeah, and that's pretty much what I ran with. Now, as I was working on it, the client was like, well, shouldn't we do the red of the outfit on the same cape? And I was like, well, that's too much. If you're doing too much metallics all over it, it's not going to work. So I said, why don't we do like a silk? Make the cape look silky. So I did a red all over it, and then pretty much I add interference red on it. I did some mahogany shadowing. So you get kind of like a silky look. It might not show well on the camera. Usually pearls and metallics really don't, but in person it really feels silky. So that worked out pretty cool. One of the major things that I just wanted to do for the client was back here. You probably won't be able to see it. There's one little curve that actually hits the back of the leg. Now what I did is I cut out a piece of foam and I put it on there. So it's a little black strip, but I figured I put that little black strip there because over time you don't want the, you know, the paint on this side and the paint on that side holding next to each other. And then in time when you go pull it off, you might rip off a big chunk of the paint. So that little you know, a little black, I guess like foam padding is going to work out pretty good just to kind of make it safer, I guess you can say. So, head magnetizes, arms magnetize in and out, cape just sits on it. There's really no magnet because you can't really throw a magnet back there, a magnet here and a magnet there, because then things might push and go in different directions. But it sits on there pretty well. Alright, so on to the base. So let's kind of go down a little bit here. So, now, this base is kind of like a moon. It's like a planet, like a moon. It's kind of sculpted like a moon, basically. And I asked the client, and I showed him some pictures, and I said, why don't we crack the planet? I said, it would be kind of cool to crack this planet and make it look different than everybody else is doing. And he's like, just run with it. He liked the idea. So what I did was in marker, I just did a marker on it when it was primed up, and I hit a Dremel tool, and I just Dremeled out all these cracks. It really didn't take that long. Just kind of wanted to position it a little bit more. And I figure it's kind of looking like a cracked up planet, and it's just looking, you know, just something a little bit different in space. If this was my kit, I would actually get rid of this ring, I would fill up these holes, and what I would do is I would actually Dremel out a lot of chunks of the planet and make it look like a really broken up lava planet, because, I mean, personally, I don't have any room for this in my studio if I was to have this statue with this ring, because as you can see, this ring is bigger than this huge turntable. So there's really no room for it, and he won't fit in the Besta either. He's just way too tall, and yeah, it's just a really, really tall, big kit. But anyway, he said run with it, and I did. So then, as for the ring, I figured I only painted the top of the ring. I didn't paint the bottom because you don't need to. So what I did was I did an orange, red around here because that's kind of like the heat coming from the planet. And then I did a little bit of a yellow, and then I did like a Payne's gray, and then I did a green. And I kind of just sprayed around, and I sprayed around. And then, as you can see, I did a lot of speckling in the planet rings too. So you get kind of like a really cool little ring going around there. It's kind of like burning up, and it's kind of burning all the ring and stuff. So I kind of ran with that. Let's see if we get down a little bit here. So, as for the bottom of it, really didn't have a really crazy idea, but I figured what we'll do is we'll do something simple. And then what I did was it's pretty much a granite base, but I figured in those little windows, it's like we're looking out in space, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, when you know, the Infinity Gauntlet happened with Thanos on that like weird like granite like steps with a death and the, you know, all that stuff. I figured that would be kind of cool. It's like we're kind of looking out into space, or we're kind of look like into another reality. So I just did this little space thing in each little window. I thought that would be kind of a neat touch. So we got kind of like the space, we got the planet, and we got a base. So I kind of just ran with it. So he liked that idea, and it worked out pretty good. You know, as far as the planet, painting it up, it was just a straight up metallic, what was it, black metallic paint, and then I just hit it with the reds, and I painted in all the cracks with lava, and I just ran with it. I did show him some pictures of, like, do you want to do like a white cracking or maybe a blue cracking, but I think he liked the lava idea better, so we just ran with that. So, you know, it's endless possibilities you could do with your kits. You can always have fun with them and stuff. But other than that, really great statue. The only downfall, and I'll be honest with this kit, I'm not saying it's engineered bad. I'm just saying that this ring is very, very scary to me. You know, you only got 3 prongs, and I sent the video to the client of how you have to do this, because you have to, if someone's helping you, you have to actually turn these ring till you line it up, because if you have it the wrong way, they don't line it up. So you got to turn the ring and turn it till you find it. Now, the idea was the rings would be able to push in, you put up the ring, and then you pull these little rods into it. The problem was that these rods weren't going far enough in, because you put the ring down and they're hitting it. So what I had to do is I had to drum out the holes a little bit bigger, and then the rods go in pretty far, but if you go too far, they'll actually fall in. So you just have to go into like here, you put the ring in, and then you kind of bring it in. Now, the problem with this piece is, the other one I had it too, I guess it's a very fragile kind of clear. It's a good clear. It's really crystal clear. It's not like a yellowish tint, but the problem is it's fragile. So if you go to put in a rod and you kind of turn it and then you kind of like wiggle it down, you will break this up before you break the rod. At least I think you will, or you might break the rod. Now, if I had the kit, I might, you know, over time, I might say, hey, you know what, I'm just going to put metal rods in there to be on the safe side. But the other problem with this is, if you pull out the head or the arm, but say it slips out of your hand and it comes and hits down, you're probably going to snap and break something, either this or this. I don't know. I think if anything, what they should have done is they should have kept the clear ring on the planet, but they should have split the planet in half. Then you could put the clear ring down, and then you could put the planet on top of it, you know? Like, that's what I would have done. But I understand what they were trying to do by having, like, you know, like this, but I just have this fear, like, if you're doing something wrong, it's going to come down and crash this. And I still have to put the sticker underneath of this base that came with it, but I had this all put together, and I was taking pictures for the client. I just said, you know what, I'll do that when I really pack it all up. But other than that, the kit's really good. It's really well done. It's a great sculpt. It's just that it's just a lot. I don't know. It's just a very heavy and a lot kit. But I mean, like I always tell people, if this is your Grail character and you really, really want this thing on your shelf, go for it. But if you really don't know the character that well, it's kind of like a lot of a character for, you know, if you don't have a lot of space. But I mean, you know, it's you know, that's the cool thing about the hobby is you know, you can get these characters made and put them in your collection that you might never ever see from another company or something. But you know, personally, whenever I get a kit, I always like to kind of take the step extra and kind of customize it to my personal preference for my shelf. But you know, a lot of people like to see these kits the way it is on their shelf. But I did tell the client though, and one last thing about the kit. If he ever has a problem with this breaking and this snaps and you can't get a replacement, I said you can always fill up these holes and you still got a cool little base with the planet that's cracking. So it's not the end of the world if you lose this ring. I mean, yeah, it is because you spent all the money for it, but if the worst case scenario, you could always take it out and you can always fill up the holes and you still got a planet for the base. So it's not like the statue's completely ruined, but it's just one of those things. And I always like to tell people when I work on these kits, these, you know, ins and outs of the kit that I'm working on, what I see. So, you know, it's not like all of a sudden, like a couple months down the road, something happens, you're like, oh, I didn't know this was going to happen. Well, I'm just saying, you know, this is kind of how I feel, this is what I'm seeing, and you got to kind of run with it. You take the good with the bad. So that's pretty much Gladiator. Hopefully you guys like the way he came out. Hopefully you like the paint up. Sorry I rambled on. I just, you know, it's a lot of kit, and I just kind of want to explain it and just show you what's going on with it. But there you go. That is Gladiator. So I'll have the second one up in maybe a week or so. Finishing that up. That's a completely different kind of paint up. So it's kind of fun to do 2 statues in different paint ups. So I had a lot of fun. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back with some more videos.